Welcome children to our grammar class. Today we shall learn about simple tenses. Before that, let's have a quick recap of what we learnt about verb tense. Tense means time of action of verb. Simple tenses. In simple tenses, the verb simply indicate an action in the present, past or future. Present time tells us the time that is now. Past tells the time that is already over. Future tells us about the time that is yet to come. Simple present tense. A verb that shows an action taking place in the present time is said to be in the simple present tense. Example, he sings well. Sings shows present time. It is simple present tense verb. A simple present tense is used to show habits that happen every day. He drinks tea every morning. Regular action, daily action. I go to school every day. Current situation. What am I in? I'm a student. General truth of fact, the earth is round. Scientific truth has no past tense, no future tense. Time words like every day, sometimes, always, frequently, never, etc., etc., tell us the the verb is in the simple present tense. It is useful for us to identify the verb in the sentence. Let's go to formula for simple present tense. For the main verbs, it's subject plus base form V1, which is present tense form, VS, ES. This is for third person singular form plus the rest of the sentence. Subject is who or what the sentence is about, doer of action, noun or pronoun. So, in the example, we add S in the third person singular. Now, for person and number, we have the chart for you here. I is first person singular, we is first person plural, you first second person singular plural, they third person plural. So for these subjects we use the V1 form of verb, which is speak, with the rest of the sentence. So it is I speak English at home, we speak English at home, you speak English at home, they speak English at home. My neighbors is third person plural, which can be substituted for they. So my neighbors speak English at home. Third person singular, he speaks. It takes this VS ES form. English at home. She speaks English at home. Jim can be substituted for he. So we say Jim speaks English at home. Now for verbs that end in O, CH, SH, SS, X or Z, we add ES in the third person singular. So the subject is constant. Now let us see the verbs alone. Go ends with O. In the third person singular, it is goes. Teach ends with CH. In the third person singular, it is teaches. Rush ends with SH. It is rushes in the third person singular. Cross ends with SS. It is crosses in the third person singular. Fix ES in the third person singular. Quiz ends with Z. It is ES. Quizzes in the third person singular. Now for verbs that end in consonant Y, we remove the Y and add IES in the third person singular. The subject is constant. Now we have the verb study here, ends with Y. Before that there is a consonant. So in the third person singular, your verb will change into studies. Now we have the next example. For verbs that end in vowels plus Y, we just add yes in the third person singular. So it is in the verb is enjoy. It ends with Y, but there is a vowel before that. So we don't add IES. Instead, we simply add an S. Now let's see the auxiliary verbs. Use of be verbs. So when I, first person singular is the subject, your verb will be am. For third person singular, he, she, it is. For first person singular, second person first singular plural and third person plural, your verb is are. Do verbs for do is used for these subjects, and for third person singular it is does. Have verbs, have is used for these subjects, has is used for third person singular. I hope you have understood the simple present tense form of verbs, children. Thank you. Let's continue with the simple tense. Simple past tense. A verb that shows an action that happened in the past and is over now is said to be in the simple past tense. It rained heavily yesterday. Rained is in the past tense. Yesterday also shows past time. Time words. such as yesterday, last week, last month, last night, ago, in 2009, past year, are all time words for simple past tense. They help us in identifying the verb in the simple past tense. Formula for simple past tense, the main verbs, subject plus past form V2 plus rest of the sentence. The past tense is created by adding D, ED, IED to the base form V1. Such verbs are called regular verbs. Base form V1 is present tense. So all past tense verbs are formed from present tense verbs. For verbs ending in E, just add D to the verb. Live, lived. Now we use the same verb for all the subjects here, irrespective of person and number. I is first person singular, I lived in India. We, first person plural, we lived in India. You, second person singular plural, you lived in India. He, she, third person singular, he lived in India. They, third person plural, they lived in India. My parents lived in India. For he is substituted by Sam. Sam lived in India. We have some more verbs here for you ending with E, like, liked, die, died, invite, invited. For all other regular verbs, add ed. Open, opened. So we can say we opened the window. Mary opened the window. They opened the window. The boys opened the window. We have verbs here that can be made into past tense by adding ed. Jump, jumped. Paint, painted. Stop, stopped. Now this will be double P ed. Nod, nodded. Double D ed. For regular verbs ending with y, change y into ied. Cry, cried. We cried out in pain. The babies cried out in pain. He cried out in pain. So we have verbs try, tried. Study, studied. Worry, worried. Some verbs differ in their past tense from the base form V1. Such verbs are called as irregular verbs. So the present tense form will be different from the past tense form. Find, found. We found a golden ring on the table. Go, went. She went to the party last week. Draw, drew. The artist drew a beautiful picture. See, saw. She saw a cartoon film last week. Run, ran. The horse ran 2 miles yesterday. Put takes the same form as put. You put the ball into the well last evening. So here also the subject remains the same irrespective of person and number, but the verb will take the form, the past tense form. Auxiliary verbs, use of be verbs. In the first person singular and third person singular, the be verb will become was. She was in England last week. I was in England last week. Third person plural, first person plural, and the second person singular and plural. You, the verb will be were. Now, you is second person singular and plural, both will be taking were as the verb. You were at home, they were at home. The grandparents were at home. Use of do verbs. Do, did. The maid did the work neatly. The carpenters did the work neatly. I did the work neatly. Use of have verbs. Have, had. Has, had. So we had a glass of milk. They had a glass of milk. He had a glass of milk. The guests had a glass of milk. So I think, boys, you have understood the simple past tense verbs, how to use them. I shall see you in the next class. Let's continue with the simple tense. Simple future tense, a verb that shows an action that will happen sometimes in the future, is said to be in the simple future tense. I will meet you tomorrow. Will meet is your future tense verb. Tomorrow also shows future time. Time words. The simple future tense is used with such words as tomorrow, next month, next year, someday. Now, these time words will help you to identify the simple future tense verb in the sentence. Formula for simple future tense in the main verbs: subject plus will or shall plus base form V1, that is the present tense form, plus rest of the sentence. So, the subject can be singular or plural, or it can be of any person, first person, second person, or third person. Your verb will be the same for all the subjects. It will be will plus present tense form of verb. We will paint the house next week. This is third person singular. The painters will paint the house next week. This is third person plural. So, next verb, will attend. We can say we will attend the class tomorrow. She will attend the class tomorrow. The students will attend the class tomorrow. Will stay. I will stay at home for the weekend. They will stay at home for the weekend. You will stay at home for the weekend. Will arrive. The train will arrive at 6 o'clock. Paul and Peter will arrive at 6 o'clock. That is third person plural. You will arrive at 6 o'clock. That is second person singular. So the subject can be any person, any number. Your verb will be will plus the present tense form of the verb. Now we have shall here. This shall is used along with the first person singular I and first person plural we. Auxiliary verbs. Use of be verbs. Here the future tense verb will be will plus the be verb. My sister will be 13 in December. We will be 13 in December. They will be 13 in December. Use of do verbs. Will plus do. The magicians will do the magic later. We will do the magic later. Bob will do the magic later. So Bob is third person singular. The magician's third person plural. Use of have verbs. Will have. I will have a bright future. Ishan will have a bright future. Now Ishan is third person singular. She will have a bright future. She is third person singular. Successful people will have a bright future. This is third person plural. Now, facts to remember. The third person singular verbs take a change in the simple present tense. That is he, she, it alone will take a change in their verbs. There is no change in the past tense main verb irrespective of person and number. So the past tense main verbs can be used for the first person, second person, third person, singular and plural. The be verb in the simple past tense will be singular in the first person and third person. So the be verb alone will take a change. I was. Third person is he was, she was, it was. There is no change in the simple future tense, main verbs and auxiliary verbs irrespective of person and number. So in the future tense, your verb will be will plus the present tense form of verb, whether it is the auxiliary verb or whether it is the main verb. So I think you should have understood the simple tenses, the simple present tense, simple past tense, and simple future tense. Children, I'll see you in the next class. Thank you.